About a month ago, I uploaded a video explaining why I was actually stepping away from Genshin Impact. To be honest, I gradually stopped playing game around 3 or 4 months before that. It just took me so long to gather my thoughts and make this final decision. And ever since that video went up, I've been seeing comments saying things like, "Oh, you quit at the worst possible time, just wait until Nod-Krai drops and 6.0 update comes, you will regret it." And then, Hoyoverse hit us with their big 6.0 livestream, showing off the new region, new characters, and all the flashy content coming our way, which of course brought even more to the conversation of, "See, you left right when the Genshin is finally giving us a real banger." So, I decided to step back, watch the live stream for myself, read through some articles, comments, check out what other creators are saying, and really think about whether this update is a good reason to come back or it's just another hype trap. And just to be clear, this is only my personal opinion. I've been playing Genshin since day one, and I genuinely want this game to get better. I still hold on to that hope, you know? That's exactly what we are diving into today. So if you're enjoying this kind of discussion, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share your thought in the comments. Now, let's get started, Starlights. So, the first thing that I actually want to point out is that this update isn't even called 6.0. Hoyoverse named it Luna 1, Song of the Wilking Moon, and that already tells you that it's not supposed to be a quote-unquote normal update. The way we are used to, you know, new region, new Archon quest, same cycle as always. Instead, it feels more like a transitional chapter, a special arc. We're getting a new region, Nod-Krai, but the focus isn't on introducing a brand new Archon, which we have to find and then ask about our sibling. From what we've seen, it's more about filling in gaps, cleaning up loose ends in the story, and tying together things that have been left hanging over the past 5 years. And then there is Columbina, the so-called Moon Maiden. She used to be one of the Fatui, but she's clearly stepped away from them for some reason, and now she's basically taking on that Archon equivalent role for Nod-Krai. So it's definitely not business as usual there, okay? Now, honestly, I do understand why they are doing this way. Genshin was kind of the pioneer in this genre when it launched, and I don't think even the devs realized how massive and complicated the story would become. Over their years, they built up so many characters, mysteries, and tiny pieces of lore that, yeah, some holes were bound to show up. So in a way, it makes sense why they want to pause this usual cycle and create a bridge like Luna 1 to stitch the story back together. Do I find it a little weird?
Probably not, but maybe.
At the same time, I'd rather they take the time to patch the holes than just keep piling on the new story beats without resolving the new ones. Especially considering that after Natlan, I think everyone is already looking forward to Shniznaya. People are expecting a huge boom there. The Archon, the storyline, new characters, everything. I do. So if they take the time with Nod-Krai to fix the holes first, and then hit us with an atomic level update in Shniznaya, I'll personally say it was totally worth it. Now we've talked about the Nod-Krai and the whole Luna 1 setup, let's look at some of the characters coming with it. First up, we got Lauma. She's from Nod-Krai, obviously, and she's part of the Frostmoon Scions. She's Dendro Catalyst user and will be a key for the new Lunar Bloom system. But honestly, beyond gameplay, her design immediately caught my eye. She's very feminine, has a very curvy figure, big bust, and low-cut outfit. Definitely a bold design for Genshin. And you know what? I totally get why people like her look. Personally, I think she's one of the prettiest designs we had in Genshin in a while. And here, I want to make a quick note. If some of you don't like me comparing Wuthering Waves to Genshin, you can totally skip this. I want to make a quick note here about Lauma's design and compare it to one of the Wuthering Waves character design, so please skip to this moment. Okay, personally, the first time I saw Loma, I really liked her design. Like, I was genuinely impressed. Her design shows a woman with full curves, very sexy, very feminine. I was obviously curious how people would react. I mean, this is Genshin. So I checked out some reactions on Twitter, and most of the feedback I saw was positive. People were saying she looks elegant, beautiful, and I 100% agree with that. Now, comparing her to Cantarella from Wuthering Waves, and hear me out, I get why some people reacted to Cantarella, they did. Cantarella had a lot of very sexualized animations, which I can absolutely understand because it matches her. But if we are talking just about design itself, I started to wondering, what makes Loma, who is also bold and very feminine in her design, come across as elegant, while Cantarella, who I personally also think that is elegant, I don't know, maybe something is wrong with me, and she gets labeled as over-sexualized or even shocking. So, I don't know, I want to hear from you all. What do you think? Is this comparison even fair from me, or am I totally off base here? I would love to read your thoughts in the comments about that. Okay, but off topic. Now we have Plins, who is a bit more mysterious. He is an electropolar user, he is a light keeper, guarding a lighthouse and graveyard in the north. His whole look is dark, detailed, and gives him a cultured, mysterious vibe, which I love. From what we know, his kit will probably continue this lunar charge mechanic. By the way, we're gonna talk about this lunar mechanic in a moment. And is complementing the new regional system. We are not gonna talk about Aino. She is a 4-star, and to be honest, I have nothing to say about Aino's design other than she is a child and I don't know, she's cute. She's cute, but that's all. But speaking of the lunar system, this is the big new mechanic with the Nod-Krai, and honestly it's a little tricky to talk about because as of now we only have one character released with the lunar mechanics, so it's still a bit unclear to me how they're going to implement it for the other characters, what limits there might be, and how it will interact with the rest of the game's roster. From what I understand personally, it's not a completely new element or anything like that. It's more like a way to boost and refresh some of the mechanics that already exist. You know, something more of a Night Soul they introduced a while back, but this time it's more of a bridge mechanic, and I get why they did it. I understand the reasoning behind it. It's meant to evolve the gameplay, give us something new to play with, and tie in the Nod-Krai region and story without breaking what we already have. Personally, I also feel like this could have been a really good moment to introduce a completely new element. For example, they could have added something like Quantum, which we've seen in previous games like Genshin Impact 3rd, where there were quantum and imaginary elements. I really don't get why they didn't consider adding that. In Genshin Impact, those elements were added later as well, and I thought they were really fun and fit the style of the game, and I think the quantum would fit Genshin perfectly with all the abyssal power. So in my opinion, introducing something like quantum or imaginary might have made more sense than just adding this lunar type of mechanic, but hey, that's just my take on it. The thing that worries me a bit, and this is where it could get frustrating, is if the lunar system ends up being like Natlan's Night Soul, where to get the best results in the endgame content or quality of life or things like that, you basically have to use the newest characters. So my question is the lunar system really meant to refresh old mechanics and give us fun new ways to play like Electrocharge, who no one used, or is it mostly a subtle way to push players to pull for new characters? I'm genuinely curious to see how it plays out once the update actually drops. Ideally, it should feel like a natural evolution of the game, a little layer of depth that makes combat and exploration more interesting without locking people out of the content. But if it leans too heavily into you must have these characters to succeed, then I can totally see people getting frustrated. So yeah, lunar system looks weird. I understand why they introduced it, and I think it has a lot of potential, but we just have to wait and see if it becomes a fun, meaningful addition, or if it ends up being more about chasing new characters. All in all, I really think that the new designs finally feel like Genshin again, or at least more like Genshin. I had a lot of issues with the Nod-Krai designs, I already told you, but Nod-Krai? Yeah, I feel like the style we know and love is more or less back, and it just clicks. And the new mechanics, I don't know, I'm just curious to see how they'll play out once more characters with this mechanic drop, but this is way too early for me to like it. Okay, so we just talked about the new characters and the lunar system, and honestly, it's all super interesting. But now I want to talk about the region itself, this whole Nod-Krai, and I have to be real with you guys. I have some mixed feelings here. So the first thing that hits me, Nod-Krai reads way more like something straight out of Genshin than Natlan ever did. Seriously, the aesthetic, the vibe, the whole feel, it's very much in that style, and I love it. The exploration system feels kinda tricky. The zone-by-zone fragmentary approach like they introduced in Natlan, I really didn't vibe with it. I much preferred the old system where you could explore a region as a whole, but hey, that's just my personal preference. I totally get that some people might actually enjoy this new fragmented style, and that's completely fine. Visually though, the region itself is really interesting. It's diverse, has a distinct elements that all make sense when you look at it as a whole, and it kind of works. The way they updated ties all these smaller pieces together seems logical, especially considering the whole Luna 1 update trying to connect plot holes in the story as well. So overall, I think that works. But for me personally, it's not something that would make me go back to Genshin with full excitement. It's intriguing, yes, but not enough to pull me back into the game. Alright, so we just went through my thoughts on the Nod-Krai, how it feels more like Genshin than Natlan, and how the zone-based exploration isn't just my thing, what I think about the new characters, how I feel about this lunar new mechanics, and what about all those plot holes that they want to fill with Luna 1 update. But now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about something else that caught my attention in the Luna 1 update, that is called To the Temper Thyself and Journey Far event. So this is kind of interesting. Basically, the event gives us a chance to grab a free 5-star character constellation, and in theory, it's supposed to let us claim up to 4 constellations for whichever 5-star characters we choose from the roster they give us. So at first glance, it sounds amazing, right? But here's how it works. The event runs from September 10th, so soon, to December 1st, this year obviously, offering players the opportunity to earn a free 5-star character constellation by completing 8 weekly training goals during the event periods. To achieve the weekly goal, you need to complete 5 daily training goals within a week. Each daily goal includes, for example, claiming rewards from 4 daily commissions, or using total of 100 resin single day, you know. If you miss a day and don't complete the daily training goal, no progress is made for that day's goal. You must complete all 5 daily goals within the same week to fulfill the weekly training goal. This means that if you miss a day, you have to compensate by completing the remaining goals within the same week. But if you fail to complete all 5 daily goals in a week, you won't achieve weekly training goal, and consequently, you won't get the constellation reward for that week. Yes, you're gonna be a whole week behind. Initially, the idea of earning a free 5-star constellation seemed like a generous offer, especially for free-to-play players, isn't it? Additionally, it's important to know that you can only claim a constellation for a character that you already own, and each character can only receive 1 Stella Fortuna per event. So, If I want to have a constellation of Hutao, first of all, I have to have Hutao. And second of all, I can only get one additional constellation of Hutao. Oh, and they're also adding the 5-star standard selector. And yeah, I know about it, but honestly for me, it's not a reason to go back to the game. Why? Because at this point I already have basically all the characters from the standard roster. Sure, Jean or Mona can still be viable, but let's be real, most of the characters are just kind of meh. We're really just looking at the new characters anyway, at least that's me. The only one that I don't have is Yuma Mizuki, if I'm pronouncing that right, but honestly, I've heard that she's pretty mid. Yeah, a 5-star standard character selector would have been super cool on the 2nd anniversary. Or maybe, you know, a bit earlier into the game, but 5 years into Genshin, I'm sorry, it's just too late for me. I'm 3 years too late to get excited about the standard 5-star selector, unfortunately. This one is kind of insane, because basically they are raising the level cap for each character from 90 to 100, and at first glance it's like, cool, more levels, we can make our characters even stronger. Sounds good, right? But here's a catch. To level a character from 90 to 100, you don't use the regular books or material we used to. No. Instead, you need a brand new item called Masterless Stella Fortuna.
Oh, Dentes Fortuna, you what?
And here's where it gets tricky and controversial. You cannot get Masterless Stella Fortuna in any free-to-play way. The only way to get it is by pulling duplicates of characters who are already at Constellation 6. So if your character is already maxed, you pull them again, and then you get the Stella Fortuna. Now, here's my issue. I am a veteran player, I love using this card, but I was more of a dolphin kind of player. I bought every Wilkin Moon, every Battle Pass, sometimes I even bought extra currency, nothing crazy, but you know. And after 5 years, I have exactly one character at C6, and it's Diluc, because I lost so many 50-50s on him. That's it. So, who exactly is supposed to use this thing? Only whales? It just feels inaccessible to most of us. And here's the problem, okay? You understand that you will have a character on level 90 and you will see that you can make it to the level 100 and you will feel, oh, I could make them 100. So the FOMO will hit hard. And if I remember correctly, please let me if I'm wrong, but Hoyo said that they didn't want to make player anxious. But then here we are. This literally creates anxiety because if you don't have the money, you can't get it. On top of that, once you get a character to level 100, their base stats go up, right? It makes sense. And for some reactions, higher base stats equals higher damage. So if they don't introduce even more HP inflation for enemies to match, what's the point? Just to flex? But if they do introduce even more HP inflation, what about players who can't level their characters to 100? I don't know. Either way, it looks frustrating. Honestly, the whole thing just feels so poorly implemented. They could have done this in so many better ways. I don't know, more grind-oriented, more engaging, something that actually feels rewarding, but no. Right now, it just spend money, get the level, done. No fun, no engagement, nothing. It makes the entire system of grinding for free constellation over 8 weeks feel maybe not pointless, but not so rewarding. Straight up, it just, you know, ruins a little bit the initiative. And I feel like it's frustrating. I feel it's ridiculous and honestly, not needed at all. Okay, I ranted a little bit, and now let's talk about the quality of life updates coming into 6.0 because some of these are pretty nice, but some of them made me sigh. Okay, so first of all, Oculi, Shrine of Depths, and other content give you much more adventure XP, and honestly, that's a welcome little bonus. If you had to grind for level 60 in Genshin, you know what I mean. Next up, we have character test reruns. And if you did a character test run before, you do not have to do it again, just claim the rewards. That's neat. Battle Pass rewards and in-game shop. Harvestable rewards and increased Stardust purchase limit. I actually like this a lot. It feels rewarding and gives you a reason to engage without feeling stuck. Now the changes for the multiplayer. So now they're reducing the difficulty of domains, world bosses, and weekly bosses in co-op mode. Personally, I never found multiplayer particularly hard, but maybe that's just me, and I also actually liked to have a challenge while playing it with other players, but you know. Next up is Treasure Compass, which you can upgrade through the joint meeting point construction to track oculi, treasures, and clues in Nod-Krai. Lunar Treasury is getting a lunar treasury items to obtain Dust of Enlightenment. Next up is 4th substat for 5-star artifacts, and that is a big yes. This is such a good move. Sometimes getting the materials to upgrade artifacts is super frustrating, and being able to preview the 4th substat is super smart. Honestly, I wish Wuthering Waves would do something like this, because my materials for building echoes just get used up way too fast. So I would love to know if it's even worth to build each echo. Okay, so here's the thing. There's one quality of life that really pissed me off, okay? Talent Ascension Material and Weapon Ascension Material domains will be open every day for 7 days, but only when 5-star character or weapon is featured. And that, to me, is so infuriating. They literally showed they can give us access to these materials for all 7 days, but they just choose not to. They want to tie you to the game, tie you to their system, and that's outrageous. I even mentioned this in my Why I Left Genshin video. It was a big factor for me. Like, we all have lives outside of the game, right? And they could make it easier, but they deliberately don't. Honestly, I'm disappointed. It's such a simple quality of life feature, like a skip button, and yet they chose to make it grindy and restrictive. It's infuriating as hell. Honestly, I don't know. Okay, I might have missed something here. The live stream was 2 hours long, so it's totally possible that I skipped over something, or I just didn't notice a feature. So if you notice a quality of life update that I didn't talk about and you think it's important to mention, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts and make sure we cover everything that matters. Alright, so for the last chapter, we're talking about Miliastra Wonderland. Now, this isn't actually coming in the update 6.0. It's going to be introduced a little later, but they teased it. And I've seen other people's reactions, which were mostly positive, and honestly, I get it. It looks fun. But I was like, what in the Roblox Fortnite type of game is that inside Genshin? I mean, sure. It potentially adds more gameplay. It surely will add more gameplay. People are incredibly creative, and I 100% guarantee that there will be so much content for players to explore. You can even customize your own character how you want, which is something. We wanted that for our traveler, but apparently that's off the table. So yeah, technically they're giving us something extra, but for me, it feels lazy as fuck. They don't seem willing to create an original late game content other than things like Theater Mechanicus, stuff I personally hated, or the Spiral Abyss, and here's my issue. I just feel they could do a bit better. They could create a meaningful endgame content themselves. Instead, they rely on players' creativity and competition to basically provide free content for them. And from a business standpoint, it's genius. They get infinite content with minimal effort and cost. But from a player experience standpoint, and that might be just me, it feels a little bit cheap. And I saw people that were all over the moon about this, and I totally get it. Technically, this isn't even Genshin in the traditional sense. It's like a game inside the game, kind of like the TCG. I actually never liked the TCG. I tried, but it just didn't click for me. I liked Gwent in The Witcher, so I don't know why I just couldn't get into the TCG in Genshin, but whatever. So yeah, I can totally understand, and you can totally throw my opinion in the dumpster. I get that. Maybe I am just acting like a grumpy old hog that is destroying the fun because I've been processing all this other info we covered in the rest of the video, the stuff that's frustrating or disappointing. But anyway, I want to hear from you. How do you feel about this new Miliastra Wonderland mode? Do you love it? Can't wait for it? Do you already have ideas for what games you want to create inside it? Are you a super creative person? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know what you think about this new mode. So after going through all of this, the new Nod-Krai region, the characters, the free constellations, the level cap, the quality of life updates, and even Miliastra Wonderland, what is my final take? Did the 6.0 update convince me to come back to Genshin? Honestly,
no.
That said, I do think that Nod-Krai is a step into the right direction compared to what we saw with Natlan. The designs feel way more like Genshin again, and some of the mechanics have real potential. But at the same time, it feels like Hoyoverse is taking one step forward and 1.5 steps back. There are moments of promise, yes, but too many of the systems still feel poorly executed, too restrictive, or just designed to make players spend more money. And one more thing before I finish, please be nice in the comments. If you do not agree with me, or if you have your own reasoning for why my takes might not be viable or true, I would love to hear it, but do it respectfully. I really want to have a conversation with you. I love you all, and I just want to share all these thoughts that are in my head and I just cannot share in normal life. I want to talk with you like friends and hear your opinions too. What do you think? Are you excited for Nod-Krai, the new events, or Miliastra Wonderland? Or do you feel like me, a little bit skeptical about how it all comes together? Drop your thoughts below. I'm really looking forward to read them and having proper discussion. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. That way we can keep having this deep dive conversation, not just about Genshin, but about all kind of interesting games, updates, and topics that spark curiosity and fun. Let's keep exploring, debating, and sharing our thoughts together, shall we? And as always, stay cozy, stay shiny, and I love you so much, Starlights! Bye!